Hopefully you can hear me, but it's also not too windy. I don't know. I guess we'll find out when we play it back. But another day, another bike ride. So yesterday's bike ride home in the rain got a little emotional. I had a rough weekend. Just feeling kind of down, but tried to take my own advice. Just biking yesterday, even if it was in the rain, actually really helped. Really helped get my mind back in a good space. Tried to take my own advice. Did some yoga and some breathing, meditation this morning. Did some journaling, got my thoughts and feelings out of my head and onto, well, not paper because I do it on my phone, but you know, got it out of my head and onto something, and it's helped. It helps for sure. I also had a little surprise lunchtime visit from my mom. Happened to be passing through the area, and so that was nice. Always nice to spend time with family, friends, loved ones. So yeah, happy to report feeling a little better today. Yay. It gets better, y'all. But also coming off yesterday's whole thing, I do want to acknowledge something, and that's that, you know, it's very privileged of me to say, oh, just take a break, do nothing but doom scroll for 6 hours on the couch. You know, the fact that you could say that or do that, it's pretty privileged. You know, there's a lot of folks out there, especially Black, Indigenous, people of color folks who, you know, don't have the same luxury to do so, that are constantly in a fight against systems of oppression, constantly have to be on. And so, yeah, I just felt that's an important thing to acknowledge and put out there. And yeah, I hope someday we find ourselves in a world where nobody has to go through that. It'd be nice. So we'll fight for that bit by bit. I know my big thing off the bat here has been bike lanes. I don't know, it's a pretty small, privileged little piece of the pie, something to be fighting against, but fighting for, but you know, it's all intertwined. It's all part of the fight against systems of oppression and injustice for a better world. I like to think, you know, I want to fight for all these things, but bike lanes has just kind of been the thing that's I've fallen into here in Toronto since moving here. But yeah, there's actually, as I mentioned, my mom came for lunch, and she mentioned something that I didn't quite think about until she mentioned it, but she was just visiting with my opa, my grandpa, and we got talking about politics, what's going on in the world right now, and Trump and the rise of fascism down in the States. And she mentioned Opa was really striking him, because he grew up as a youth in the Netherlands, and and grew up through World War II, right close to the border with Germany. So he lived through that occupation, and you know, I think what's going on right now for him is bearing a very scary resemblance to those times back in the 30s and 40s, World War II, and the rise of fascism and Nazism, and it's kind of horrifying to think about that we're living through that now again, but all the more reason to fight and be aware and speak up. Although I know that can be incredibly dangerous for folks. We're seeing it now. It's kind of terrifying. It actually makes me think of my other Opa on my paternal side. I never actually got to meet him. He passed before I was born, but he too grew up in the Netherlands during World War II, but his family was Jewish. And so he went through the war as a hidden child on a farm, and eventually after the war made his way to Canada. But yeah, now that I think about all this, it's extremely extra terrifying. Yeah. And I wish I kind of knew more of his story. I know I never got to meet him. And I know I've been told he didn't really like to talk about it, obviously. So, but we know it's what happened, and it's terrifying. So I think now, though, is not the time to sit idly by, be silent, you know, even if there's a danger to speaking up, pointing out what's going on, looking for ways to prefigure a better world. Stay left. Like now, it's especially important that we do so. It's gonna be some incredibly trying times ahead. So my heart goes out to everyone. Everyone's struggling, everyone fighting, everyone dealing with oppression. I just want the best for you, for everyone. So let's fight for that. Let's work towards that. Yeah. So really going through it, working, because I'm doing a master's, and working through the process of my MRP thesis kind of topic, trying to figure out what I'm doing, what I want to look at. And been really honing in on the concept of tactical media, specifically like the work of Geert Lovink, who was a founder of NetTime in the 90s, and the one, along with David Garcia, who introduced this idea of tactical media. Really kind of galvanized around the Next 5 Minutes festival that happened back in the 90s and early 2000s, but this idea that, and like pirate TV stations in the Netherlands and elsewhere, but this idea that people, ordinary people, could take the tools of media and use them as means for making their voice heard and prefiguring a better, more just world. Very much a melding of art and activism. And so I'm probably not doing it justice here in explaining, and I need to read much more, but that is very much where my studies here are heading, the direction of my focus. Because, you know, I'm an artist, I work with digital tools, but I also want to be an activist and speak up and do all the little things and maybe big things that work towards a better, more just world. So it seems very much like the avenue, a lens with which to examine that. And actually my plan is to build this project. I might have talked about this in one of my videos, I can't remember now, but I want to build a mobile projection unit that's bike based. So either a bike trailer or a cargo bike of some sort with a battery powered system and a projector and speakers, where you could just ride out around the city at night and projection bomb, guerrilla projection things onto buildings and streets and wherever, you know. It could be anything from art to messaging to interactive experiences. I think that's especially something I'm interested in exploring, is like, because it's been done before. There's lots of folks who've done this sort of guerrilla projection thing. You know, especially coming to mind the Illuminator project during Occupy Wall Street, blasting up big 99% symbols on buildings. There's a number of artists who've done this kind of work, but a lot of it's kind of static messaging based. But I'm kind of interested in exploring interactivity in there too, and how that plays in. And so that's kind of the object, the artifact that my research is kind of coalescing around. I'm looking at it through this lens of tactical media. There's a bit of other theory in there too, obviously. Tactical media kind of came out of a bit off the back of the idea of temporary autonomous zones from the writing of Hakim Bey, Peter Lamborn, and his work coming off of the work of, you know, the situationists, the critique of everyday life, the Fev's right to the city. This is all kind of the theory that I'm looking at, and I'll probably explain more about it later on. I'm still kind of wrapping my head around it all, you know. Don't totally feel like I could talk about it all right off the top of my head, but I'm getting there. I'm trying. And so yeah, that's what my work's about. That's what we're looking forward towards. Hopefully this... Oh, hey buddy. Sleep by you. Thanks. Hopefully, you know, that's what we're working towards. That's what we're examining. And so I'm gonna try and make it happen. Hopefully it has an effect. Oh, it's a nice day out. Yeah, the sun is really helping boost my mood, making me feel better. I think so. Really can't stand the rain. Especially if it means I can't bike. I mean, you can bike in the rain. It's just a little miserable sometimes. But Anyways, sun's shining right now. Gonna soak it up a bit. Gonna breathe in that good fresh air. Remind myself, stay calm, stay focused, enjoy all the beautiful little things in life. Obviously, don't forget about the fight we have ahead of us, but also let's try and find the joy in what we got, I guess. I think that's all I got for today. Remember to breathe. Remember to stay beautiful. Bye.